Hey guys, Marty from Team Peace and Pass, doing a little bit of an overview from Ascent Christchurch, and with that happening last weekend, and with Santa Clara happening this coming weekend, kind of taking a look at the meta and what decks maybe to expect, and what with some of the stuff that has been topping, kind of reviewing some of those decks. So, to review prior to that, before Christchurch was Toronto. We all know what happened in Toronto. Vanitas with your Razor Gale Calling was the dominant deck. And when we mean dominant, we mean absolutely 100% dominant. That deck was all over Toronto. But that didn't happen at Christchurch, thankfully, with the fixed 3 visits that forced your champion to rest as part of the cost. That allowed the meta to not be that deck any longer. So, taking a look at what Christchurch was, it's a little bit more familiar of a format prior to Mortal Ambition, with Sylvie being the top contender of the format there, being the big dominant one, representing 13 of top 32. Tristan and Ari with 4, Xander with 3, Kong Ming with 2, same with Tenoris, Merlin, and Nico. Sylvie, taking a look at Sylvie, we all know the Spirit of Slime, Baby Gray, Baby Green, Storm Slime, all that fun stuff. That's what all the decks are used to. This is True Champ Isaac, who took top, got first place with the deck. Pretty standard overall. I mean, the only thing that really kind of stands out that I haven't been seeing too many people play as of late was the Scavenging Raccoon. So that's just a little bit of a difference for the deck. But the one that, out of all 13, there was a fire deck that actually Fire Sylvie, which was kind of really cool and interesting to be able to see. You play your Creative Shocks, Cremation Ritual, you play the Slime King, you sack the Slime King, get all your stuff back, deal more damage. Seems like a really kind of cool concept of drawing, and a little bit more aggressive and being able to dig through your deck a little bit more. Tristan took over 4 of the spots. There was a few different variations. So you had a Tristan a wind deck, which was all of your unique ally build with like Dilu with Dilu, but this one was playing like Bertha. It was also playing Lena. So, reason for going into Tristan, you were able to play like Incapacitate and stuff, but it was playing like Bertha and Lena, your Dilu, your Liu Bei, Pierce, all of your unique allies being able to oath for the damage. Another win build that was able to top, which was more of my favorite, was just the Tristan that played Reaver and Dancer, kind of the old-fashioned Tristan. The one thing that I liked was with the release of Heavenly Guide. Heavenly Guide really lets you level manipulate and skip when your opponent plays that dungeon guide. So if you're Shadow Dancer, you can innervate agility back down to Reaver. You heal 5, you gain stealth. Your Heavenly Guide either comes back into play because you played it, or you reclaimed it, or you Zephyred it, and then you get the jump back into Dancer. Put a prep, get 2 tokens, and then draw 2. So that's a pretty cool concept in my eyes of what I like to see. There was also a couple of water builds for Tristan. These ones focused a little bit more on like just allies. So you had like your Poison Dagger, your Shadow Claw, and your Halakline Scout, which is a new card from Mortal Ambition. So the entire focus was obviously just playing allies, kind of swinging, controlling the board a little bit. But you play the Halakline Scout once you're up to like Shadow Dancer, because you have your tokens and your weapon and stuff. And it says on enter, rest your target unit. Other allies you control get +1 as long as they're attacking a rested unit. You can choose the champion, which is a really cool concept, being able to attack that, dealing damage. Your Shadow Dancer swinging for like 3 or 4, depending on if you're swinging with like claws and daggers and stuff. Seems pretty cool. Ari's now good. So Ari's the deck to definitely talk about. There were 2 of your Fragmented Spirit of Wind decks, with the release of the Polaris Cauldron, sacking your herbs, being able to shuffle your Cosmic Bolts, and then Mortal Ambition coming out. You have a lot of empowerment or level manipulation for like Indolent Leisure to draw. You have the release of Wisdom Reprise to be able to glimpse 3 and draw. You also have 3 visits, a lot of digging in the deck, But the other thing is you can play the Fragmented Spirit of Wind. You level manipulate by sacking your herbs. You're able to draw off of that. You're able to draw off your leisure, things like that. But 3 visits is a huge help to the deck. You can, pay 1 for like a Scry the Skies, put that down, free level into RE level 1 because you put that back in your deck. So it's like you never lost that resource because it's going to go back into your deck eventually. And then when you shuffle your deck, you have the ability to see that versus it just being on the bottom the entire time. As far as RE as well, there were 2 water builds that topped. These are really cool. So the focus is not so much on like your Polaris and stuff like that. The focus here is on Fractal of Polar Depths. Sacking it, you target yourself, and you mill the top cards of your deck equal to the amount of water cards in your graveyard. You have to be a Tamer or a Cleric to do this. Well, being obviously RE, you're a Cleric. So you sack this, and you're able to mill a bunch of cards. This card has actually shot up to almost $15 now. It used to be like $3 or $4 until these decks topped. But you're able to do that, and you mill all these floating memory cards, and then you Myriad of Ice, banishing all of them, dealing instances of 3 for each one of them. You're able to, it's each instance too, so you can hit if something is preventing you from dealing damage to the champion, you can hit that, hit it, it dies, then start hitting the champion. So that's super cool with this concept of the deck. And then Desperate Dive is also preventing the next blank damage to like Ari, and that's up to the amount of water cards in your graveyard. You mill 20, prevent the next 20 damage. So Xander, you had a couple of water Xander builds just focused on allies. Again, the Halocline Scout being an assassin, hitting that champion for extra damage. Both of them were playing the Shadowmare as well. You have some unique allies with like Naya, Lunette, things like that. So losing Pride, having Stealth and True Sight for a 2-drop 3/3 is pretty good as well. Kongming. Both Kongming builds were Razorgale Calling. Hence, basically Vanitas itself, he likes to appear. But Razorgale Calling of a deck, dealing the damage, cyclical breezing, all of that stuff. You have your draw with your Baby Grays, your Windmill Engineers, everything like that. You have Bagua, when you're facing west, clipsing 3, drawing a card. The deck is rather dumb for the most part, the ping damage and stuff like that. Razorgale Calling's a very strong card for sure. Next is Tony. There were 2 builds with Tony that topped. There was a fire one, fire aggro, playing the new Flamewing Fowl, playing the Relic of Dancing Embers for damage. Other than that, you're like Blazing Throw, Blaze Charge, all the aggression there. And then the second play, the one that ended up facing Isaac in the finals, was like a Tony, just a Wind Tenoris build. You're playing the Oath, even though it's just for the buff counters, because you're not playing that many unique allies in the deck. So Merlin was obviously one of the ones that got 2 slots. This is the one that I found that was interesting, because you're playing Kongming, and then in the side deck, you won't see it, but it is playing the Harmonious Mantra for the level of healing and everything like that. But most of the time, you're going into Lorraine to get the sword and do all that stuff right there. But pretty spread out, with like 2 Heavenly Guide, 2 Creative Shock, lots of 2-ofs, just to kind of be able to like have a variety of hands, I guess. So, and then Nico. So Nico, there was 2 builds. You had your Sylvie build, which I like. I think this is a little bit better of a way to go. You have your Seaside Ringleader, being able, when you're a water Sylvie, you can pay 2, banish it, draw a card in a memory when it's engraved. So if you mill it, that's great. And then every animal comes in with an additional buff counter. So I was able to participate in the Yeti today and actually had like a 5/8 turtle, the Ripple back, because banished 2 of those, the Sylvie on enter. So those, and then the Terrapin banishing was very strong. And then you can always Primordial Ritual it after, if it's on board or something gets targeted. That's a floating memory, mills 2. The other one was just standard Tony. Plays more like Diffusive Block. It does play the Myriad Device for that kind of damage output in comparison. Both are very strong. Nico's one of my favorite decks as well, so love to see that top. But with Santa Clara coming up, this coming weekend. These might be some decks you maybe are deciding what to play, or you know what to play, and this is what some of the decks you can expect. So maybe you can properly side or adjust your deck just slightly for them. So let me know what you guys think. As always, thanks for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, peace.